Magneto! For mutant kind!
Well, we already did our top 10 offensive characters, so it makes sense to talk about defense. Characters best suited to stall you out, halt momentum, try to put the kibosh on characters trying to push forward, assassinate your healers, create openings, and chaos. I've been playing this game since Season 0, and consistently through every season it feels like defense is where people make the most mistakes. Not actually realizing you're trying to stall for time, delay the other team, run out the clock. Not trying to make heroic moves, highlight plays, or get a risky pick, because really, they're gonna respawn within a couple seconds anyway. And like I do for every video, I'm gonna be basing this on my own opinion, my own experiences, but doing research within the community, different elos to get a general consensus and consistency for what people deem the best defensive characters, whether it be domination or defense on the payload or convergence. And just a quick disclaimer, I shouldn't even have to say this, but I get this comment quite a bit. When I make these videos and lists, it is with the generalized assumption that the person using this character is competent with them, it's one of their mains, and that everyone in the game is around the same skill level. Psylocke, for example, is an amazing offensive character, but she's absolutely buns on defense. But of course, somebody that mains Psylocke, if they queue into a game and they're better than everyone else in the game, of course they can look cracked on defense. It doesn't make the character a good defensive character though. Just thought I should state that because I get that comment quite a bit. Of course, we'll give some honorable mentions before the number 1 pick, but coming in at number 10 is Mr. Fantastic. Somebody that I feel is still pretty underrated and a little bit misunderstood. Mr. Fantastic is just a good, well-rounded jack-of-all-trades character. He's pretty solid on offense, but he's kind of a pain to deal with for divers. I play a lot of Magic, a lot of Angela, a lot of Psylocke, and I know from talking to Black Panther, Spider-Man mains, this guy's annoying to deal with. Especially Angela, it feels like he's always just lingering by, trying to grab you and pull you in. And because Mr. Fantastic is somewhat of a pseudo-tank, he adds a lot of stability to your team and your backline, making it difficult to penetrate and breach in. Not to mention, Mr. Fantastic can be an absolute nightmare to try to kill sometimes. Overall, just a solid, well-rounded character that adds stability to your front lines and your back lines. It's just too bad that he still has one of, if not the most, whack ultimates in the game. Coming in at number 9 is Emma Frost. She is a juggernaut on defense, and honestly not too shabby on offense either. Hence why she's been consistently picked in both high and low elo ever since she's released, and they keep giving her the nerf every season, and she still doesn't go away. What really solidifies her is her diamond form. She can absolutely decimate dive characters or any melee characters that get too close. She may not have the kill power she once had in Season 2 and 3, but you still do not want to get chokeslammed by her. Or maybe you're an absolute freak and you do. And I can't even blame you. It also helps that she can be an absolute juggernaut with just her main attack as well, building up charge, stopping ultimates with her shield, making it extremely difficult for the more offensive tanks to push forward without being punished or just outright killed. And it also helps that in her diamond form she can stun a lot of ultimates like a Scarlet Witch, portaling in with a Strange, one of the healer ults, and she pairs well with pretty much every other tank. Overall, just a consistent, well-rounded defensive character that can absolutely lock in on point, preventing you from capturing or pushing forward, making the healers feel a lot safer. But coming in at number 8 is a character that uses his aggressive offense for defense, the Punisher. Most good Punisher players know how to set up their turret in just the right spot that makes it a pain in the ass to knock down, and if their team is solid around them, it's going to be a nuisance to try to sneak up on them. And a good Punisher with a well-placed turret can be just devastating to try to capture point. They can shred tanks and absolutely just overwhelm and flood the enemy team with bullets. Even when his turret's destroyed, the Punisher is no slouch, easily being able to pick off flying characters, characters from a distance, squishies, and even when you dive them, they can whip out their shotgun. And because of his grapple, he has some mobility. Not to mention, the Punisher will never be too far away from their healers, especially on defense. And it does put a significant amount of pressure on offense to capture point before the Punisher gets their turret back. But even if I think the Punisher is amazing at using offense for defense, he still isn't as good at doing this as Moon Knight. A good Moon Knight can absolutely decimate your team. They are way more elusive than a Punisher, they don't have that turret, but they're a little bit more unpredictable. They can kill a squishy in the blink of an eye with their onk if you're not paying attention. It gets harder to read and predict where they're gonna come from with a really good Moon Knight. And because of his mobility, it's hard to track one down to kill them. They can feed off tanks, just farm damage, and that's ultimately gonna mean that the Moon Knight is gonna be popping their ultimate 100 times in the next 5 minutes unless you capture point and deal with them. Pair that with a good Angela, Groot, or any kind of stun, and it's curtains. I just feel like good Moon Knights have that hit and run down pat. They'll throw an onk at their feet if you get too close, you might get cooked right away, you might be able to pick them off. A Moon Knight on offense isn't nearly as scary because they have to push forward. On defense, they can sit tight, find a nice ledge or perch, and you have to come towards them. And they fucking love that shit. Moon Knights don't love that as much as Loki players do, especially with on-point clone placement. Pair that with the fact that Loki can steal whatever ultimate he needs for whatever situation arises, and his runestone that can block ultimates and is basically a mini healer ult. Man, it can be some of the hardest shit in the game trying to track one of these fuckers down and killing them. Because even if you make it past their defenses just for a minute, the Loki can vanish, switch between clones. There's a ton of shenanigans a Loki can pull off to stall for time, hold a domination in overtime, stall that point on defense before they reach the next checkpoint. I've seen it all, many times. Not to mention, a Loki with his clone set up the way he wants it can be almost as devastating as a DPS on defense. Sometimes they are. Especially for a flyer, a poke character, they can be devastating. One of the worst feelings playing tank or healer on defense is getting beamed by a Storm or an Iron Man. No one's focusing them, it sucks. You're just eating damage for free. When I play Loki, however, it's no problem. And in my opinion, that just makes Loki that much more of a pain in the ass to deal with on defense, giving him that number 6 spot. He might not be as meta as he was in previous seasons, but the meta comes and goes, characters get buffed and nerfed. The scales of meta definitely tilt back and forth depending on the buffs and nerfs, but Loki's always going to have that X factor, and in my opinion, he's only going to get better as he gets slowly buffed again. He was running rampant with Luna Snow in Season 3 and basically Season 4, and even when he's not having the best season, he's still an absolute unit. Now we're down to the top 5 defensive characters in the game. The absolute wagons of the roster. The juggernauts of defense. Not this juggernaut, hopefully soon. They better add him as a tank, or it will be the fumble of a century. But these top 5 characters are the characters that dig a trench, lock down, and will stall you out. Hold point, never give in, and they are the hardest to shake and recapture. And kicking it off in the 5th spot is none other than Magneto. And the crazy part is, Magneto could make a case for being in the top 10 offensive characters. This guy's a weapon. He's been S tier basically since Season 0 for a reason. He's well-rounded, consistent, he is the bread and butter tank. There could be an argument made for having him higher than number 5 on this list, but I don't really have to convince you why he's here. Especially now in Season 5. He's always been able to either bubble himself or a teammate, now he can do both. He has a great shield, he can hold a spot, take damage, he's even good against Wolverine trying to kidnap him or a Bucky. If a Cloak and Dagger or Luna Snow think they're going to be a hero on offense to help their team push with their ultimate, Magnetos are just going to dunk all over them. So he can neutralize a healer ult, can be unkillable, hold a spot, isn't easy to kidnap, Did I miss anything? Oh yeah. He's also great at picking off healers from a distance, even a pesky Iron Man or Storm. I'm not even using Human Torch as an example because they basically took that character out back and shot it. But a Magneto is going to beam them right out of the sky. If the offensive team is trying to get around to your healers, they're leaving their own healers wide open, and Magneto eats them for breakfast. Yeah, I don't really think I have to convince anyone any more than that. Magneto is a problem. Offense, defense, domination, resource rumble, it don't matter. But coming in at the number 4 spot is a character that I wouldn't have ranked this high, but they got buffed quite a bit in Season 5, and that's the Invisible Woman. She is pesky and a problem to try to get rid of in the backlines. Obviously, unless you're playing Daredevil, she's a pain in the ass to try to track down and kill, being that she can go invisible. She has better self-sustain now, healing in her invisibility, but now she can shield herself, which I gotta say is a game changer. But something that doesn't get talked about enough is how much damage Susan Storm blocks. So outside sustaining her team with healing, Susan Storm can actually take some of the burden of blocking damage off her tanks. Her push and pull is also amazing, because you can trap the enemy tanks, pull them closer so they get picked. A pesky Spider-Man or BP trying to escape with 1 HP. I have gotten so many final hits that way I can't even count. She's great at grounding flyers too, like a pesky Angela. Man, Susan's a nightmare in the backlines if you're trying to play Angela. Her gravity's annoying, she pulls you in. Not to mention, if you're playing Convoy on defense, there are a lot of maps that have spots where Susan Storm can outright just push you off the map. Exhibit A right here, this Cloak and Dagger ults, I just pushed them right off the map. Done deal, wasted healer ult. Overall, she's just a consistent character to lock in on defense and hold point. She has so many useful tools in her kit, I'm just praying they don't nerf this character. But there are 3 characters that I think are better on defense. And the third best character on defense is Rocket Raccoon. This guy is a nightmare when locking in, for multiple reasons. He's actually got insane healing output, you don't have to aim super aggressively, just in the general direction you want to heal, your flyers. Like most times, the match can get flustered. If the enemy team hasn't captured point and it's going into overtime, it's do or die for them, they're gonna burn all their ults. The fight can turn chaotic, it turns into a bit of a shit show, but at least with Rocket Raccoon, you can consistently heal, you don't have to worry about who's where, you can just kind of point to general directions, and they'll get healed a lot. He's also small, nimble, can climb walls, has his dash, so he's incredibly hard to kill and track down. A really good Rocket Raccoon, hell, even just an adequate Rocket Raccoon is probably only gonna die once, if that. Their survivability is off the charts. Even if the Rocket Raccoon doesn't shoot their primary gun, just heals and runs away and doesn't die, they still have insane value on the team. And that's not even talking about his offensive capabilities. Rocket Raccoon is probably the most underrated character I've ever seen. Nobody seems to talk about this, but this guy shreds tanks to bits. Have you ever gotten close to a rocket as a tank? One that actually can aim and will shred you. It's one of the reasons why I play this character a ton now. I can't even tell you how many times I'm playing Rocket, I'm healing, we're kind of at a stalemate, then I'll just kind of push up aggressively and just shred the Thing or a Thor right in front of us. Like, what are we doing? Let's go! So even as an aggressive tank player, you're gonna have to be very careful with this guy. Yeah, Susan Storm's hard to track down, Loki's elusive, but Rocket will just shred you. And as for the dive characters that don't have to worry about that, well, he can run away, he can hide, he can climb. His amplifier is a healer ult that adds damage boost, which is useful, but his biggest ace up his sleeve that makes him just so indispensable on defense is his instant revive. Having 1 instant revive in a close match, which every little play makes the difference, is massive. If the offensive team isn't tracking down Rocket's beacon, it can be impossible to get a pick and gain an advantage, because you're never really gaining an advantage. As Angela and Magic, that's the first thing I do on offense if I notice they have a Rocket. Otherwise, burning our cooldowns and ultimates for nothing. Overall, just a easy to play, very good, consistent defensive character. But coming in at the number 2 spot is Namor. If certain characters like the Thing, the Hulk, Angela, Black Panther are built for offense, then Namor is built for defense. Everything about this character is defensive oriented. Namor since Season 0 has been the textbook anti-dive. He's had a lot of good team-ups, Luna Snow, the Hulk, now Hela. He always has a team-up that's going to be a viable meta pick because he's such a well-rounded, versatile, safe pick. His squids do all the shooting. If he has the team-up, doesn't matter which season or which team-up, it's near impossible to breach the backlines. And in a game where dive has been dominant for the most part since this game launched, Namor has just been a saving grace for anyone that plays healer. Namor is always going to be close by to his backlines as well, so he's easy to heal, he's always around, he has to get out of jail free, and he actually has a pretty not too shabby ultimate. And if we're talking about a run-of-the-mill Namor, then maybe they're not that problematic, just a bit of a nuisance. But a good Namor can also aim, so he's going to be deleting people while protecting his backline simultaneously, and if you're a flyer, it doesn't matter. Like I said, in every conceivable way, Namor was built to be in this video. He is a defensive character through and through. He can be used on offense pretty damn good, to be honest, and there are people that are dedicated to this character that just love to dive with him, which, to be honest, sometimes it works, but sometimes it's cringe as hell. But defensively, this guy is made for this. But there is one other character, which we all know who it is already, that is better than Namor on defense. But before I talk about that character, here are some honorable mentions. Both Hela and Hawkeye. If you're locked in on defense, and the offensive team is struggling, you can absolutely pin them down with these characters. They can be countered, but if either of these characters are dialed in, they're damn near impossible to move, especially if Hela has the Namor team up, then it's that much worse. Jeff the Shark, if I'm being honest, he's been getting more meta and meta, he's pretty easy to use, his ultimate can clutch now and heal at the same time. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Bucky's an obvious one, I don't even need to explain why. Groot I still feel deserves an honorable mention, but the fact that Gambit can nullify his ult kinda sucks, but not being able to get kidnapped definitely helps. But with all that said though, here is the number 1 best defensive character in Marvel Rivals.
Against the world.
Now I'll be honest with you, I feel kinda guilty putting Peni this high because this is the first time making these top 10 videos that I've put my main character at the top. Even though I know it's the right pick, it kinda feels wrong, like I'm biased, but I'm really not. Peni, just like Namor, is fundamentally built for defense. Peni Parker is the only spider-themed character that plays like an actual spider, webbing up an area, locking it down, and luring your prey. She is phenomenal at all the really obnoxious dive, melee, brawl characters, at stalling them, making their life difficult, neutralizing them, or whatever you need her to do. Especially if we're talking about Season 5, because now with her webs, you get passive healing and movement buffs. Peni also gets bonus HP for being in her webs, and with the Rocket team up, she gets 2 nests, and Rocket is an easy character for anyone to give you that team up. He's not hard to learn, and he's also good at defense. Peni is the type of character that you want people to approach you. She can be good on offense. Honestly, I love playing Peni on offense and just flanking people. She has insane mobility. With her webs, she can climb walls. She can avoid and dodge so many ultimates. Jeff the Shark trying to swallow you and spit you off the map. Like, the list goes on and on why she's such a pain on defense. If it's do or die and I gotta win the game, that is who I'm picking. Unfortunately for me, she is banned almost every game. But in the last 2 seasons, I've been playing her more, and I have basically an 80% win rate with her. Even if I'm solo tanking, it doesn't matter. I try to avoid using her in quick play as much as possible because I genuinely feel like if I'm on defense using her, the other team doesn't stand a chance. If I'm playing her on defense and 3 minutes have gone by, the offensive team will throw out such wacky bullshit to try to move me out of place. And when you're facing another fellow Peni on domination, it's a race to see who can get to point first and set up. That's not even talking about her mines, which are annoying if you're playing melee, brawl, trying to penetrate the defensive lines. Peni is always close by her healers, so good luck. And people don't talk about this enough, but Peni can kill through most, if not all, healer ults with the right mine placement. I have killed so many cloak and daggers that think they're going to save the day. We're at 99%, they're going to rush in with their ult, try to give their team some life, and they go boom. So yeah, overall, Peni Parker by design is the best defensive character in Marvel Rivals. And that's gonna wrap up this video. Besides making some more top 10 videos, I do want to remake my stereotypes video because I have fun roasting each character. There's been a lot more characters added since I made that video, and the meta's changed quite a bit. So I can actually poke fun at all the different seasons, how the meta has changed for each character. And I also want to do a lore video talking about the lore on each Marvel Rivals character as well, because there are some characters that we obviously all know, like Spider-Man or Captain America, but there are a lot of Marvel characters in this game that are pretty niche that a lot of people probably don't know much about, like Cloak and Dagger, Angela. So I'm going to make that video as well, stay tuned for that. But overall, thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.